Well, that's something you never want to see, a failed emissions test. Oh boy, what are we going to do? But that was back on July the 27th. And presto, on August the 23rd, we passed. How did this happen? Well, let me get you up to speed a little bit here. Now, there's multiple ways you can fail an emissions test with an OBD2 vehicle. One of them is by having a check engine light. Now, if your check engine light is on and you go for your emissions test and your vehicle's a 96 or above, you're just not going to pass the test, because as soon as they connect that scanner to the OBD port, it's going to see that the check engine light on, and it's going to know that there's some sort of a malfunction. Now, you can see here on the vehicle inspection report, the inspector circled the bottom here where I did have a check engine light on, and it threw this code P0505, idle air control system. In addition to a check engine light being on and there being diagnostic trouble codes in the system, there's an additional component to the OBD system that could cause you not to pass the emissions test. It has to do with these readiness monitors right here. Some of them aren't supported by this particular vehicle. It varies by the car. And you can see there the inspector who failed the car circled the monitors that say not ready. Now, what that means is the computer is not in a state where it has enough data on those monitors to see whether or not they're in spec and okay to pass emissions. A vehicle that is a 96, which is the first year of the OBD2 system, to the year 2000, so 96 to 2000, you're allowed to have up to 2 monitors in a not ready state. It can be any 2 of them. A vehicle that is a 2001 or newer can only have, at least in the state of Connecticut, it varies by state I believe, the only monitor that is allowed not to be ready is this evaporative system. All other ones may be in they have to be in a ready, or in other words called a complete status. Now, I had this problem back in 2019 when I got the vehicle, and I really didn't know much about it back then, but I subsequently brought it to a shop and they were able to get it ready and able to pass the test. Back in February of 2021, I got a new battery in this car. The battery had gone dead. It was a really cold snap we had. I was up in New Hampshire visiting some family. The battery went dead and I ended up having to get a new one put in. And in that time, while the battery was dead and it was unhooked, the computer lost all of its data. What I find amazing is that from February of 2021 to when this failed in July of 2022, July 27th there, all those miles I did, these monitors did not come up and run. Now, normally what it takes to have the monitors set to a complete status is to complete what's called a drive cycle, where you're basically just going through driving the vehicle at normal driving scenarios, whether it be city or highway, kind of stop, go, getting up to highway speed, driving at normal speeds. If you were to do some normal driving, a couple 100 miles worth, it normally would be enough to set the monitors. However, with Volvos of this vintage, I think specifically the 96 to 98 Volvos were very difficult to get the monitors to set. So much so that they actually exempted some of those vehicles, I believe, at the time. But this forum that I found, someone describes an additional procedure that they performed in addition to a drive cycle and were able to get the vehicle to pass. And the first procedure is called a flywheel adaptation, I believe. They describe it here on this forum. And what that consists of here, the way they described it at least, is to drive the vehicle in third gear, going at least 3,000 RPMs, and then decelerating the vehicle down to 1,000 RPMs without using the brake. Now, it might sound easy, but I can tell you it is absolutely not easy with any amount of traffic around. And actually, getting it to 1,000 was more difficult than I thought. I actually had to pull the emergency brake up like 2 or 3 clicks just to get it to slow down a little bit more. But ultimately, I was able to perform that procedure twice, and I was hoping that that would be enough to calibrate the flywheel. I subsequently drove the vehicle about 30 miles down the highway, and then probably 30 miles or so back here to where I live. And about a couple days later, I checked my OBD2 scanner, and I found that the oxygen sensor monitor actually had changed to a complete state, leaving only the catalyst and the evap not ready. So it was somewhat of an obscure problem. I've run into many people who don't even know about readiness monitors, but unfortunately with Volvos of this age, and certainly I think the 96 to 98 Volvos more so, it was much more of a problem. But through a lot of Googling, a lot of digging around, I was able to find this solution. And I was able to fix it without any cost or repair shop involved, so that's always a plus. Before I wrap this up, I just want to take a quick minute to thank everybody that's watched my videos. I know there aren't a lot of videos posted on here, and the ones I do post aren't all that exciting. It's usually just a shot of the instrument cluster or a shot of the interior of the vehicle or something like that. My shooting equipment basically consists of just an iPhone, so I don't have any of the fancy microphones or anything like that. But I really do appreciate people watching, and I was blown away to see that I think there's like 16 subscribers that have subscribed to my channel. I know the videos aren't very fancy or anything like that. They're kind of older style YouTube videos. But I really do enjoy making them. I enjoy Volvos. I enjoy learning about them. And I'm still learning. I'm always learning. Once again, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time.